Hi everyone, Karis here, and today we are going to be flipping through the Essential Tarot by Chloe Zarka Grinsnier. This is published by Sterling Ethos, and it retails for $24.99 US. I've actually had this pre-ordered for quite some time, and there were a few delays with the shipping, most likely due to the backup at the ports. And I just received my copy last week. So, without further ado, one of those standard two-piece boxes that Sterling Ethos usually has. Very sturdy, great for storing the deck. Then the cards and the guidebook. I love the backs of these cards. I think they're really pretty. Not fully reversible because of the sun moon pattern on them. Obviously, you can tell when they're different directions, but if that doesn't bother you, or you don't really pay close attention to that, or you don't read reversals, then it's no big deal. Another thing that I will mention is when I received my deck, I always go through quickly before I do the full formal flip through, just to kind of take a look at the artwork and see, you know, my first impressions of the deck. And when I was doing so, I found that the cards were completely out of order. There was no rhyme or reason. They were just very disordered, and I've never had that happen to me before with a brand new deck that I purchased, so I found that to be really strange. Just something to mention. So this is a mass market deck. It does have the plain cut edges. The cardstock is actually a pretty good quality for a mass market deck, and I will say that that is usually the case with the Sterling Ethos published decks. They have good quality cardstock for their decks. Here is the guidebook. It is in full color, and we'll talk through that in just a bit here. Let's go ahead and flip through these cards. And that was our flip through of the Essential Tarot. So before we get into shuffling and the deck interview, there were just a couple of things that I thought were noteworthy about the cards themselves that I wanted to chat about. First of all, I wanted to talk about how great it was to see some diversity in the card deck. I love that there are people of color, there are bigger bodies, and just different age ranges. I think, you know, it's really important, and I know I've said this a million times, but I think it's so important that the world is accurately represented in the card deck. So no matter who you are, you can see yourself in a deck of cards. You know, if you're queer, if you're a person of color, if you're in a bigger body, I think it's important that all of those things be represented in the cards. I will say what I don't love about this deck is that they have like this split where they have the title of the suit at the bottom and the number at the top. I just like, what if you're going to have a border and it's going to take up space, just put it all together. Small pet peeve. And while this deck is a little bit Marseille and a little bit Rider-Waite-Smith, I'll say that they did a really good job kind of incorporating it. Normally, I really don't love to read with Marseille decks, and unfortunately, a lot of the theme decks that I've picked up lately have been the Marseille style, where it's just 5 cups on a background. And I mean, frankly, it's harder for me to connect with those decks and to get any intuitive hits when I'm doing a reading. So they're not decks that I reach for consistently. But I will say that this deck is a little bit different. So this card, for instance, when you look at it in a Rider-Waite-Smith form, you see a figure who's looking at these 3 spilled cups, and their back is usually turned to the 2 full cups, kind of signifying that they are paying attention to what's gone wrong and not paying attention to what's right, what they have, you know, going for them. And in this card, if this were to come up in a reading for me, I would interpret this as they're placing the importance on the full cups. You know, they see that things have gone wrong. It's in front of them. However, they're saying, hey, look what I do have going for me. Look at, you know, what's going right in my life, as opposed to just focusing on the negative or the mistakes. And so for me, I think some of these cards that, you know, in a typical Marseille, I don't love how it's just a picture of 10 cups, but when I see the hands outstretched here, like they're really incorporating the pentacles. It's not a full scene, but they're incorporating parts of the graphics in so that you have a better understanding of the card meaning, and you can connect with it a little bit better. So those are just a few things that I thought were noteworthy and that I wanted to mention, but let's go ahead and give these cards a shuffle and do a little deck interview. Like I said before, they are a bit thicker cardstock, so really got to put a bend in them to riffle shuffle. But they do, and it looks like they might bow over time, but not anything too severely. Of course, they hand over hand shuffle great. They are a standard tarot card size, so very easy to work with in that regard. So we're going to ask 3 questions. The first one is, what are your strengths as a deck? The next one is, what kind of readings are you best at? And finally, what card best describes your personality? So for the first question, we asked, what are your strengths as a deck? And we drew Judgment. And Judgment is all about honest reflections. This deck is going to help you to take a long, hard look at what you're doing and the path you're on and figure out if that's the right thing for you. We also asked what kind of readings are you best at, and we drew the Strength card. And in this card, you see the woman and the lion sort of cuddling and just being very sweet towards each other. And so I feel like this says to me that this deck is best at bringing you messages in an empathetic and caring way, being straight with you, but in a way that doesn't beat you over the head, but instead helps you to come to the realization, gently leading you there. And finally, we said, what card best sums up your personality? And we got the Ace of Cups. And I love this depiction of the Ace of Cups because of the sun that's sort of peeking out of the top of the cup. You know, you obviously see that there's an overflow of emotion here because water is symbolic of emotion, but you also see the sun, which is something that alludes to happiness. So you have like a joyous overflow of emotion. And I think this is really great because you have this deck that wants to come to you to help you evaluate the things that are going on in your life and really kind of put some judgment on what you are doing versus what you should be doing. And it's going to do it in a gentle way, in a way that's compassionate and caring. And also they're going to be joyous. So their whole purpose is to, you know, help you feel good about where you are and where you're going. So let's talk about the guidebook. So we have the Essential Tarot. It is full color. Little introduction. Goes right into the major arcana. And each card is depicted above the kind of meanings with the reverse meanings below. It looks like not all of them have explanations about the dress or the costumes. So for the Magician, it says here the Magician is wearing an ancient Roman stola to represent the Roman god Mercury. Indeed, the ruling planet of this card is Mercury. But there's nothing for the Fool. There's something for the High Priestess. Okay, well, maybe it's just oh no, the Lovers don't have anything either. Neither does the Hermit. So unfortunately, it looks like not all of the major arcana have descriptions of what they're wearing or, you know, the costumes or the myths, which is definitely unfortunate. I am not aware that there would be a separate guidebook that accompanies this deck, but maybe that is something I will check after I will throw in later and let you guys know. But I think if you're, in my opinion, if you're going to do a deck that's themed or has some sort of running motif throughout it, like the costumes, which are kind of a big deal on the back of the box and called out in the description when I looked at the cards, I think it's important to include call outs of those myths and those costumes here in the guidebook, in my opinion. But again, I don't know if there's an accompanying guidebook that's larger, so I will find that out and let you guys know. Then we go into the suits. So we start with the cups. They do just elements and the key meanings of the cups. And then, unfortunately, none of the court cards have any explanation of what they're wearing either. Just a little letdown. But here's the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups is a card that brings a flow of positive emotions. It is a sign of a new beginning and a time for love and kindness. This card is overflowing with feelings, symbolizing the joy in the simple things in life. Reversed. The cup has been drained and left empty. You may be feeling exhausted. Perhaps you have been giving too much. When reversed, the Ace of Cups symbolizes wasted emotion and self-doubt. To reclaim the water that was once flowing, you will need to listen to your intuition. And So then we have the suit of pentacles, the swords, the wands. Let's see. And unfortunately, it doesn't include any deck-specific spreads, which, again, is kind of a letdown. I love when they include, when the writer of the book includes specific spreads. I will say the Villain's Tarot, which we're going to be flipping through next week, has an amazing guidebook. While I am bummed about the pip cards, spoiler alert, I love the guidebook. So that's our flip through of the Essential Tarot. I'll leave the details for this deck in the description box below if you want to pick up a copy for yourself. Just want to let you guys know that if you would like, you can check out my blog. The link is in the details below, but that is where I talk a little bit more in depth about tarot and witchy things, and I do non-flip through related stuff. I am trying to post, I'm trying to post on the regular there about once a week. I'm just sort of getting in the swing of things, so hop on over and check that out. Leave a comment and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Leave a comment in the description box below. Let me know what your thoughts are for this deck and if you maybe are going to pick it up for yourself. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.